Okay, so call to order at 7:01. Can you get a roll call, Jason? Jaren, okay, whoever, whichever. Here.
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 And since we have an empty public seat currently, Commissioner Savella is filling in for that seat.
Oh, okay. Okay, agenda review. Does anybody want to remove anything from the agenda tonight, or do we have a motion to accept the agenda as is?
I'll make that motion.
Actually, we
Jason?
do have,
Sorry.
before we get to closed session, I would recommend that we move item number 12, public hearing on East Blithedale application, since we do have a representative for the applicant here. And is there a representative for 10 Friendly Lane in the audience? And we do have one for 10 Friendly Lane. If we could move those two public hearing items before closed session, it would allow the public to come and go as they so fit.
If no one has any objections, I'll accept that, and we'll move those forward.
So I'll make the motion to approve with those changes.
And actually, legal counsel did remind me, we do have Todd Moody is here, our former commissioner. If we wanted to give him his proclamation before a closed session started, that would also allow him to come and go as he so sees fit.
Okay, I'm willing to do that as well.
So I'll move with those three changes.
So we'll move those into just before the closed session, so there'll be items number 5, 6, and 7. Okay?
No, actually, it's items 6, 12, and 13 are moved.
No, but those three items you mentioned will now be the new 5, 6, and 7
Oh.
after 4.
Oh,
Right?
thank you. You're correct.
I thought so. Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Okay, so public open time. This is the time where anybody in the public can make a comment to us. We can't take any action on it, but we'd certainly be willing to listen to what you have to say.
You have one speaker card in front of you.
All right, I have a card here from Hannah Lee. Hannah, would you like to step forward with your lovely 4.5-year-old daughter? Would you identify yourself, Hannah, just, and why you're here? Okay.
Well, I'm Hannah Lee, and I just want to say thank you. I've been working for a local agency in Marin for 15 years. And when Jason started, he reached out immediately to me about the municipal service review process, which I'd never been through before. And I really appreciate how much time he put into educating me and listening to me, and same with Jaren and Olivia through that process as well. And I found it was much more in depth than I expected, and I got a broader perspective as a result of it, and made some corrections, and got some great insights about how to operate more efficiently. So I just want to say thank you for all the work that you do and all the advice that you continue to give. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, Hannah, thank you for coming tonight. And again, thank you for bringing your 4.5-year-old daughter with the tattoo. And you can also confirm to her now, she's been on television. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else in the public want to make a comment? Nope. Okay, let's keep moving. So next item is consent calendar. There are 4 items on consent tonight. The minutes from the April 2nd or April 6th meeting, the ratification of payments, the update of the LAFCo meeting location and the handbook, which would be making this room the permanent official location for LAFCo meetings, and the approval of the legislative committee recommendations. So does anybody have any of those you want to pull off the consent calendar, or do I have a motion to approve consent as is?
I'll move approval of the consent items.
Is it motion?
Second.
Second, by Dennis. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, good. Okay, so at this point, we're going to move the, do you want to do the proclamation first? Okay. So we're going to do the proclamation for Larry Loader. So Larry, you want to?
Todd Moody.
Todd, I'm sorry. Why do I keep confusing Larry and Todd? I'm sorry, Todd. It's all right. Larry was like 2 months ago, right?
We did that.
That's right, we did that. Okay, so Todd, why don't you come up and join us? And I think Jaron can read the proclamation, which we've all considered and which I've signed, in appreciation for your service to Marin LAFCo.
All right. Expressing gratitude for the service of Commissioner Todd Moody. Whereas Todd Moody served the citizens of Marin County from 2019 to 2023 as the alternate special district member of the Marin Local Agency Formation Commission. And whereas during his service as the alternate special district member of this commission, Todd's dedicated sense of responsibility toward the people of Marin County and the mission of the Marin Local Agency Formation Commission contributed greatly to the effectiveness of this commission. And whereas his ability to offer a unique perspective and willingness to assist whenever and however needed. And whereas as a member of this commission, Todd earned the respect of his colleagues, representatives of other public agencies, and the general public due to the keen sense of objectivity, integrity, and humanity with which he discharged his responsibilities. And whereas his work on the Marin LAFCo Legislative Committee aided in guiding the Marin Local Agency Formation Commission's overarching legislative positions, and now therefore be it proclaimed that the members of this commission wish to express their deep appreciation and sincere thanks for Todd Moody's service on the Marin Local Agency Formation Commission and lasting contributions to the people of Marin County.
Well deserved.
I just want to say that it's been a real pleasure working with everybody. And this is one of the most congenial political bodies that I've been around. We seem to work together pretty well. And thanks to Jason and Jaron for holding us all together, and Mala as well. So it's been a pleasure, and I'll look for your careers all to rise. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And before we go any further, I want to make one comment, which I should have done before. I want to welcome Catherine Hilliard to the Marin LAFCo board. This is Catherine's first meeting with us. And so, Catherine, we hope this is the first of many, many meetings where you'll be here, and hopefully it'll be rewarding for you, and I'm sure it'll be rewarding for us.
Thank you. It's a privilege. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And actually, since Craig is not here,
yeah.
you're going to be sitting as the official commissioner, representing the second representative for special districts. So unlike normal, where you would be engaging in conversation and communication, deliberation, you can also vote tonight.
Wow. Thank you.
So, again, welcome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay, so let's move to the next item, which is in the agenda, item number 12.
So you actually need to vote on the proclamation to approve it.
Do we?
Yeah, sorry.
Can I make a motion? I would like to make the motion to approve the proclamation and thank Todd Moody for his years of service.
First act, I'd like to second that.
Motion, a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now it's official. I don't want to break any rules. Okay, item number 12, public hearing.
So item number 12 is an application we received from the city of Mill Valley in conjunction with the county of Marin, in collaboration with the Alto Sanitary District and the Richardson Bay Sanitary District. There is a small intersection that is located at the boundary between the county and Mill Valley that is currently in the county's possession, based on street maintenance and, ease of street maintenance for that area. The city of Mill Valley is going to be taking that over, and will be formally annexing that in. That parcel happens to currently be covered by a small portion of Richardson Bay, and most of it's in Alto, but since sanitary districts. But since Mill Valley runs its own sanitary system, we wanted to keep it all nice, clean boundaries, and so we got everyone to agree to take those parcels out of those two sanitary districts and hand it over to Mill Valley as well. So everything is nice and clean, and there's no confusion as to who takes care of what, why, when, or where. We do have a representative for the applicant here if you have any questions for them. And that concludes my report for today.
if I may, Chair, what revisions were made in the handout that we have tonight?
Oh, yeah, sorry, my apologies. You have a handout. There were some small typos that were in the thing that the county surveyor caught after we'd put the packet together. So you do have a new set of map and legal description. If when you're approving this, if you can approve it with the amended map and legal, that would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? And the applicant's here, right? Would you
Sitting
like
in-
to come forward and make any kind of comments related to the application?
Craig Tackberry representing Mill Valley.
So Craig,
Just here for questions.
is it Craig? Can you stand at the lectern? Probably will cut down on the feedback too.
Yeah, Craig Tackberry representing Mill Valley, just here for questions.
Okay, so you have no comments to make, otherwise, what we're doing? Okay. Okay, then we'll bring it back to the board. Any other questions, deliberations? If not, I'll make the motion to approve item number 12.
You have to open the hearing, public comment.
Do we have to open public comment?
It's a hearing. It's a hearing. All right, so.
I'm glad one of you is always here to keep me honest with
That's
these little
right.
detail things, which is good. Okay, let's open the public hearing then. Does anyone have any comments? So now we can close the public hearing. And now I can make a motion to approve item number 12. Okay,
Second?
second, okay, we have a motion and a second. Rich, are you raising your hand?
Only that, did Mr. Freed want some detail in the motion to replace this?
You're approving the application with the new map and legal description that was presented to you tonight.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 We don't need to take roll, right?
No.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, you are approved. Thank you for coming this evening. Item number 13.
So item number 13 is another application. This one is from 10 Friendly Lane. We do have a representative here if they want to come on up to the podium so that way if they have any questions, they can answer them. This is the high level. This is to annex a parcel into the Novato Sanitary District. They're currently on septic. They're in the city of Novato, so there's no urban growth boundary issues to worry about with this one. So it is a simple and easy application. They had the unfortunate task of having the person who did their original map and legal retire between when they submitted the application and when the county surveyor got back comments. So this one, you'll see that there is a motion in there for a condition of approval for a new map and legal. That also came in between when the packet was created and when today occurred. So in front of you, you have a new map and legal. If you want to do as you did with the last one, switch out the map and legal description as part of the motion when you make it, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, understood.
And that is my report.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? Sorry? Oh, let's open a public hearing. Thanks, Dennis. Okay, any comments from the board? Is there any comments? No hands raised. Any comments from the public? Would the applicant like to make any comments? Okay, we'll bring it back to the board. We're going to close the public hearing. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the requested annexation of 10 Friendly Lane and approve the attached resolution number 23-13 with conditions, as well as switching out Exhibit A, the annexation of lands of Hagee and Osby to the Novato Sanitation District, the map.
Okay, go ahead. Second? Okay. Motion and a second? That was the second, right?
That was.
Okay, good. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you for coming tonight.
Those.
Okay, that takes us back to the normal order of things, and so we're going to adjourn temporarily to closed session. We return from closed session. We have nothing to report out of closed session. We're going back into public session. And the first business item is the election of chair and vice chair.
This is a decision for the commission to make according to the LAFCo policy handbook. You are supposed to select a chair or vice chair at your first regular meeting after May.
I'd move we re-elect President Lou and Vice Chair Barbara.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion?
I just one question for me. So I'm new to all of this, but what has been the history in terms of, I don't think we have anything in our bylaws about length of terms for chair, vice chair, or is there an unwritten rule we followed, or just want to hear from the rest of the commissioners?
Just to give you a brief history here, our LAFCo has had no rules or policies on length of service. The person before Lou had been chair for 3-4 years. The person before her was like 15, 20 years. So we have not had we have not had any sort of term limits type situation here.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that we would establish any term limits, but I do think, given that this board does not meet monthly, it's, a couple times a year, I do think chair, vice chair lends itself to, more than a 1-year assignment, like a multi-year. But I do think, given the different board, the different seats that are held on this board, it is good to have a rotation every couple of years.
Sure.
Not suggesting we set that in stone now, but just throwing it out there for the
And just
future.
for historical perspective, neither Barbara or I have been in the role for a full year.
Yep.
We both came in August, September last year, roughly, maybe even later.
When Sashi left?
Yeah,
I
when
know.
it was either the August or October meeting. I don't
Right.
remember which one.
Yeah,
So-
and it's certainly up to the board at that time, but yeah, I'm supportive of the motion.
Okay.
But I also think you're raising a good point, that it is a good opportunity. I think you're raising a good point, that it's a good opportunity for other people to take the helm at various times.
And can I just say that when I first came on here, Lou had given me a call. I never called him back, but it really meant a lot to me to hear from you, who I'd never known anybody on LAFCo or anything like that. And Barbara was certainly really helpful in getting me up to speed on everything. So, which is why I'm happy to second the motion.
Okay. Well, thanks. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor of Barbara and I retaining?
I'm sorry to make you do this. Can you open public comment, close public comment? Thank you.
Let me open public comment then. Does the public have any comments to make? Seeing none?
We don't have.
No, we do only in person. We're not hybrid.
We do it everywhere else.
So, all in favor of retaining Barbara and myself as chair and vice chair?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, approval of proclamation for Todd Moody. It's already done. Hang on. So now we have approval of proclamation for Rick Savell.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I may, I want to thank the commission for noting my attention to accuracy and detail in that regard. I requested the commission revise the commendation to state my service on the commission as a public member, not special district member. Further, I see further down it references work on the legislative committee. I'm not aware that I was ever,
Why don't you direct your questions to Jaron and Jason?
so I'm
They
not,
formulated
am I
the,
missing something here, folks? I know I was the public member, that's for sure. I thought that for 2 years, so I'm pretty sure of that.
Lou put me on a committee. I think it was the budget committee.
Barbara would have corrected me by now, so.
Yeah, I was on the legislative committee 2 times. I don't believe I ever saw you there.
I don't remember any assignments like that, but
You probably
I
didn't
know I was the public member, that's for
So-
sure.
I
So-
Hanging my hat on that.
So we can
Just
stay
to inter-
focused on this.
Yeah, I think that we accidentally, because we were doing 2 accommodations, we forgot to change that section for you. We do apologize. We will remove that from the final accommodation that gets approved.
I would appreciate that, thank you.
Sure.
All right.
So now, how do we want to do this then? When the last time with Todd,
Come back? No.
you read the proclamation, so can I suggest, if you feel okay about this, Rick, I suggest is, can you read the corrected wording inserted in the proper place in the proclamation, and then we'll just need to print the proclamation up again and have me and Jason sign it.
Sneak it up,
Yeah, I was born faking it till we make it, so yeah, I can do that. Commissioner Savell. Whereas Richard Savell served the citizens of Marin County from 2021 to 2023 as the alternate public member of the Marin Local Agency Formation Commission, and whereas during his service as the alternate public member of this commission, Richard's dedicated sense of responsibility toward the people of Marin County and the mission of the Marin Local Agency Formation Commission contributed greatly to the effectiveness of this commission, and whereas his unwavering dedication to accuracy and detail in combination with his wealth of knowledge and experience in related areas, and whereas, as a member of this commission, Richard earned the respect of his colleagues, representatives of other public agencies, and the general public due to the keen sense of objectivity, integrity, and humanity with which he discharged his responsibilities. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the members of this commission wish to express their deep appreciation and sincere thanks for Richard Savell's service on the Marin Local Agency Formation Commission and lasting contributions to the people of Marin County.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, could I make some comments, but under announcements at the end, so we can move the meeting forward? Thank you.
So again, great, thank you for your service. Thank you. And we'll get this corrected and get it answered.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Do we need to move approval of this? So
Amended.
I'll formally move approval of the proclamation for Richard Savell as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item number 8.
Item number 8 is an accept and file of the MSARA audit report. MSARA, for the first time, started to do audits of itself and determine, are they following the proper procedures, protocols, are the member agencies doing the same? They came to us first because we are a very small agency, being a total of 3 staff people when we're fully staffed, and felt that we would be a good guinea pig for them to test out the system on. I gladly accepted and said more than happy to do so. In the report, you will see that there were several items that they noted. Most of the items that they noted actually occurred prior to Marin LAFCo being our own HR payroll benefits system when we were still in the county system. All of those have been corrected. There were 2 what I will call outstanding items. One of them was we were not properly filling out the MSARA form. There is a section that looked like to us like it was supposed to be filled out by MSARA itself. As we are now, they've started doing other agencies. Southern Marin Fire, I know they've started yours, and they, I'm saying that partly because I'm looking at a commissioner from that body. They had the same problem we did. MSARA has since modified their form to make it clear as to exactly who's supposed to fill out what. So that won't be a problem in the future. And then the second item was how we were making payments. MSARA has a transfer policy. You're supposed to transfer funds within 2 days, but for a lot of us smaller agencies, it doesn't make sense for us to transfer $2,000 every 2 weeks to them. Instead, we write a check. The head of MSARA, I actually had a chat with him late last week, and he's going to be taking to his board an amendment to the policy, so we will become in line with what the policy will be, which is we cut a check, we write a check and mail it to them, and that will be acceptable to them, because spending $40 to wire $2,000 is not fiscally responsible to anybody, because that's what it would cost us. The county can spend $40 to transfer several thousand, tens of thousands of dollars. It's not a big deal to them, but for our smaller agencies, it is. So they're looking to change that. So I imagine the next time we have an audit that those 2 issues will be gone and will no longer be of any relevance to us. But we are working with them, Sarah, to address those problems. So I would recommend an accept and file of this report, and that is all I have to report today.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Any questions, comments from the public? Seeing none, bring it back.
I'll move.
To accept the MSARA audit report.
A motion to accept and file the report.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Item number 9, Jason, discussion and possible approval of items related to CalAFCO annual conference.
Sure. You have 3 items in front of you today that are part of the Cal LAFCo conference. During their conference, which is held in October, They will have an award ceremony. They elect a board of directors, and they and we have to send voting delegates to them. So taking these one at a time, the first one is board of directors. We can nominate people to be board of directors for 2 of the seats. One of them is county, the other is public. I did reach out to our 2 county, or is it city this time? So I'm sorry, it's our city and public seats, my apologies. I did reach out to our 2 city members, and they said that they were not interested in running. If they want to change their mind tonight, they're welcome to do so. Since our public seats, Commissioner Savella is leaving us and we don't have the other public seat, I'm assuming we're not making any nominations to a brand new person. So I would recommend skipping that part and not making any nominations this year. Moving on to the annual awards, I did make a recommendation. There is an award that is given out for innovative programs and things that are done. I think the shared services program that us in Santa Clara did fits that. Their executive officer plans to take this same nomination to their board and do a joint nomination from the 2 of us. There is one more that I will add to the awards. I got reached out yesterday by the executive officer for Napa LAFCo. Dawn Middleton, who if you know LAFCO history, might recognize, is our former executive officer. She has spent 30 years doing various levels of LAFCO, from low-level staff positions all the way to a commissioner. She's currently the deputy executive officer of Napa LAFCO, and Brendan, who is their executive officer, is planning to nominate her for the Lifetime Achievement Award. 30 years of solid work, I think, nominates that. I will speak from a personal perspective. A couple of times I've gone to her for things that occurred during her lifetime in Marin LAFCo, and she has always been very responsive and eager to help us if she can. I would encourage us to also nominate her, and Brendan will take care of all the paperwork. We won't have to fill anything out. We will just tell him how we voted tonight if we chose to do so, and he will take care of everything for it. But I would encourage us to actually nominate her as well. She's a very deserving person. She actually right now, for the coastal region, is the staff representative to Cal LAFCO, because not a single executive officer stepped up to be the regional representative. She stepped up as the deputy executive officer from Napa. So I think she's definitely earned the right to have an award. She's never gotten an award in her 30 years of service from Cal LAFCO. So I think this is a prime time to get her that nomination. And then finally, we send voting delegates to LAFCO. When we get there, we get to vote on who, assuming we show up to the proper session, we get to vote for who is on the board of directors and a few other small things as well. So the tradition has always been, if the chair goes, they're the voting delegate. If the vice chair goes, they're the alternate, and down the row of people from regular members to alternates. I have heard from Commissioner Kohler interest in going. I believe Commissioner Catherine, I believe you said you were also interested in going, and Commissioner Murray has also expressed interest. Is anyone else interested in going? So we have 4 people that are interested in going. So I would recommend, and we can send all 4 people. It's in Monterey, so it's not like a major. It's hotels for a couple nights, but that's the only major expense is the hotel rooms and the registration. But we can afford it in our budget to send 4 people without a problem. So I would recommend that we pick from those 4 people who the voting and alternate delegates are, and go from there. And that is my report for tonight.
Can you give me the name again of the woman that you're nominating? It went by very quickly.
Dawn Middleton.
Thank you so much.
So I'm willing to move staff recommendations on all the items and nominate Barbara Kohler as the voting member.
I'll second.
And who's the alternate? We get 1 alternate. So you got to pick between Berto or Murray, or like flip a coin.
Commissioner Berto is here, we'll
Okay, I would,
nominate him.
I will be the alternate then.
And then my recommendation is always leave in case any changes need to occur between now and the conference. The chair has the ability to make the change. If someone says they can't go, he can just unilaterally decide. Okay.
I'll second that. Or did you already do that, Eric?
I re-seconded.
Somebody else did, but I didn't.
Okay.
All right.
Do you
Okay.
need it all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Moving on to the next item.
Go on to the next item.
All right, so SDRMA, which is the special districts, I forget what the whole thing stands for. It's where we get our liability insurance, and some of our insurance stuff comes from SDRMRA. We are technically not a special district, but they allow us to purchase our insurance stuff through them. They have a board of directors election. Normally, you don't see this on the agenda because they tend not to go opposed. This time, there are 4 candidates for 3 seats. In your packet, you have the 4 candidates. There are 3 incumbents and 1 challenger to those 3 incumbents. The 1 challenger is someone who is a LAFCo commissioner for a Southern California LAFCO, so I just wanted to point that out for you. Whether or not you choose to vote on this or on who you vote for is a commission decision, so I will yield to you at this point for discussion on that.
I looked at the qualifications for each of the people, and my personal feeling would be we retain. I looked at the qualifications of the people who were nominated. My personal feeling is to retain the 3 people who are the incumbents.
Is this something we have to vote on?
We could not turn in a ballot and not vote. That is acceptable as well.
Is that common, or do you?
They normally don't have ballots to vote on, so I can't tell you if it's common or not common for us, because since I've been here, I don't think we've had an actual election to vote on other, because it's been the incumbents running.
So I really wanted to defer to the special district members to make the decision as to whether or not we even bother to vote. I did look at all the folks, and the 3 incumbents looked the most qualified. The person who's running, who's not an incumbent, did not look to have the background, but I would defer to Catherine and Craig as far as should we vote and what you all want to do.
I'm a special district member.
She's a special district member too.
You said Craig.
You said Craig.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. My meeting got done at 1 o'clock last night in the morning.
So I respect Lou's position and would move that we vote for the incumbents.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Correct. Okay, number 11.
Chair,
Jason? Mala?
if that's okay, I'll give the staff report. What is before you is the 6th Amendment to the employment agreement for the executive officer. The only revision is an extension of the term. The term is set to expire on June 30th, and this would extend the term of the executive officer's employment agreement to August 31st. As you know, we're in the process of negotiating revisions to his agreement for compensation and benefits that we hope to bring back at the next meeting. So at this time, we're requesting that the board approve the chair to execute the 6th Amendment.
Okay, any questions or comments?
Well, after we go to public comment, since we had ample discussion this evening, I would move the staff recommendation.
Okay, I hear a second. Actually, any other comments? Any comments from the public? No? Okay, bring it back. So we have a motion.
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 14. Jason or Jaren?
That'll be me, probably. Item 14 is the adoption of the final budget. I will always yield to the budget chair, Commissioner Rodoni, if you had any comments before I gave up a report.
No, only that I conferred with Jason on the minor changes and agreed that they were minor, so we didn't have to have another budget committee meeting.
Yeah, so you stole my thunder there. We made minor changes to it. We were able to reduce our agency contribution by about 1%, which will, benefit all the member agencies. So with that, I would recommend approval of our budget so we can start the invoicing process and get our money for next fiscal year.
Any comments, questions from the board? Any comments from the public? I'm sorry?
It's a public hearing.
That's what I just said.
I'm sorry,
You
so
have
it's
to
a
open
public
a
hearing, so
hearing.
just open
The
it.
public hearing is now opened. Any comments from the public? No comments from the public. We can now close the public hearing. Any other comments from the board? Okay, do I hear a motion to,
I'll make a motion to approve the attached final budget with no further adjustments.
do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, item number 15, interview for LAFCO regular and alternate public member seats and possible appointments.
So at the last meeting, we interviewed 4 of the 6 candidates because 2 of them couldn't attend. If the candidates who couldn't attend last one could take the seat up at the podium. I see one member here, the other one has not shown up, so I don't know what transpired with that, but Larry Chu is here. Vita Flores does not seem to be in the room at this time.
Good evening, Larry.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Chair.
So, Jason or Mala, you want to tell us the process here and so we can follow the correct rules?
Yeah, so the process will be you are to ask the same exact questions that were asked last time. I don't know I know Commissioner Kohler read all 4 of them last time. I don't know if you're going to do that this time, but it is the decision of the commission as to how it wants to proceed with asking those 4 questions.
You want me to go ahead?
No, I'm looking for the questions first. I'm trying to find them in my paperwork.
Do you want to look here?
I thought I had them printed out, but I don't. Okay. Don't get nervous, Larry. This is actually an opportunity for you to be able to relax and take a few extra breaths while I'm getting this brought up.
Okay.
So you should consider it in that vein. So there are 4 questions. So now the process we've used before is we do 2 of those questions, right?
No, we did all 4.
Do we do all 4 with the other candidates?
Yeah, these are the same.
Hang on.
These are the same questions we asked last time.
Okay.
We chose these 4.
Okay, so I'm going to start off by asking the first question. Larry, would you please tell the commission something about yourself and the reasons why you've applied for the LAFCO regular public member position?
Okay, just as a matter of background, I am currently working for the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco in a risk management capacity, primarily in operational resilience and what they call business continuity. I've spent my whole professional career in financial services, either for investment banks or investment management firms, where I've done a variety of different functions, getting my initial start in managing and reporting of defined benefit plans, which is how some of you may know me from some of the papers I've written for the MCCMC. In my public life, I have spent 16 years, 4 terms elected as a city council member for the city of Larkspur, and have served as mayor 3 times, vice mayor 4 times. Was president of the MCCMC, and one of the reasons why I got involved in public service was because of the recognition that money is the driver for everything, especially with public agencies, and looking for ways to find operational efficiencies and to get better economies of scale. As a result of that, one of my first appointments in my first couple months as a council member was to be appointed to the JPA Oversight Committee for the MCCMC, where I served as chair for 6 years. So that continues to be an interest of mine in terms of making the use of public funds, as best and most efficient as possible.
Okay. Thank you, Larry. Okay, got the screensaver around here. Barbara, would you like to ask the second question?
Absolutely. So what experience have you had in land use planning, Larry?
My land use planning experience comes from being with the city of Larkspur primarily. I would say that if there were some fairly big projects that we had to review, it was the station area plan that had an impact to the whole lower Ross Valley. That was back in like 2015 as they were bringing the Sonoma Marin area rail transit online. we've had a couple major infill projects that we had to deal with. Larkspur is basically built out, but there was a 17-acre property where they were converting it from agricultural to residential, in which we had to create a specific plan, called the Central Larkspur Area Specific Plan. Some other things that we did that were, and we were kind of the flashpoints for, but it attracted a lot of attention from, Green Bay, Kentfield, Corte Madera, all the surrounding communities, was how we were dealing with let's just say the use of certain properties, one of them being Corbett's Hardware, and whether it was appropriate to move it, for example, from its existing combined retail, commercial, and residential area into a primarily residential area, which is where it sits now. There were some other contentious things we've had to deal with that were the expansion of our identified housing sites associated with, state laws on the regional housing needs allocation. And a lot of that was trying to find balance between things that were written in the general plan from decades ago, and many people feeling like we had to literally stick to those things versus, the needs of not only the city, but also of the region.
Okay.
Thank you.
Larry. For the third question, Dennis, would you like to answer the third question?
Sure. What experience have you had with the delivery of local government services?
Well, with city, as a council member, we set policy primarily on all our municipal services and our what I would call our core competencies. Those are park and rec, public works, library, planning. Police and fire were separate. I had served on the Central Marin Police Authority for 10 years and chaired and vice chaired that a couple times. I was involved in helping to bring San Anselmo on board when it used to be the Twin Cities Police Authority. And, I know from a Larkspur's perspective, having been in the authority for many years, we ended up saving over what is now about $1 million a year. So we were able to reduce command staff and put those dollars back at work on the street by providing more services within the community, as well as other police services that a small agency would not have, such as investigations and juvenile, other things that you would normally see in a large police force, but not a small municipal one. I was also one of the original 4 members that got involved in the formation of the Central Marin Fire Authority. So that had been something that, for those of you who may remember him, Michael Leopard and myself had always talked about that, but we could never get the consensus of our respective council members to discuss that. And as councils changed, attitudes changed, it allowed us to pursue that. It was kind of a situation where both chiefs were no longer in their positions. One retired, another one went to San Rafael. So it was ideal to talk about, that particular consolidation. We were able to work together as, the city and towns and convince the community that it was in their best interest to do so financially, as well as increase the level of services in doing so.
Okay, thank you, Larry. And Steve, how about the fourth question? Would you like to ask Larry that question?
Sure. Larry, thanks again for coming. What is your understanding of LAFCo's role in local government?
Well, I would characterize it as non-political. And, although 6 of you serve in an elected capacity representing your respective offices and constituencies, primarily you're looking in terms of the greater public interest in trying to identify, the various things that LAFCo is looking out for, the preservation of agricultural and open space and finding, as I mentioned earlier, financial and functional efficiencies. And, now they've added, I don't know if they've added maybe just things that I didn't know about before, but looking more in terms of trying to balance off the needs of, say, underserved or communities which are at risk. And, you take all that information, you have various state statutes associated with, say, California government code things, your CKH legislation, your CEQA stuff, taxation and revenue law. You got that on one side of it. On the other side, you have things like what's happening within, your local communities or the county. You got your general plan. You have whatever happens to be the needs of your community. You have your capacity and your capability to provide certain types of services. And you need to pull all that together. And, those are the things that I see in, that we used to receive also in the MSRs. So I viewed those as about as impartial and we would say quantitative in terms of doing the analysis that you really can't argue with them. You read the MSRs and they come right out of the data that comes from either the cities, municipal agencies, whatever, or county agencies, special districts, and all that information is just data. So it's a compilation of data and being able to do an impartial analysis to be able to come up with, the recommendations that meet the objectives of what, LAFCo is trying to do.
Thank you, Larry. So, Jason, in terms of the process now?
Yeah, so in terms of the process now, you will clearly have your discussion about how things go. That is up to you to determine that discussion. For the voting process, this has a very unique, special voting process, and there's a reason why you're seated this particular way that you're seated tonight. In order for someone to get a seat, they have to get a majority of votes, but they also have to get at least one county vote, one city vote, and one special district vote. So you could have a vote that's 4-2, but let's just pick on the county people for a second and say that they both voted no, all the city and both special districts voted yes, that person would not get the seat because they did not get a county vote. So you need to get 4 votes. At least one of them has to come from each of the 3 categories that makes up this LAFCo.
Thanks for the explanation.
And the public seat has no comment or vote on this particular subject matter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was not aware of that.
Yeah, so public doesn't vote on this. It's just the 3 jurisdictions that make up the 3, what I call the 3 bill-paying groups of LAFCO, where most of our money comes from you guys, so you get to make the decision on who the public seat is.
So just so I can crystallize this a little bit. So there has to be 1 vote in favor from the special district, right?
Correct.
And I might submit that Catherine wasn't here for the previous interviews. So Catherine doesn't have the perspective and the background of what the answers were to be able to judge the first 4 candidates.
Right, so I would abstain.
You would need to.
Well, wait, if Catherine abstains, does that kill everybody?
No.
No.
I'm a
That means
special
Lou, if Lou votes
Lou's
no.
special, okay.
Lou
he
is
was up
also
here
special,
with us, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, but to be fair, as legal counsel, Commissioner, as legal counsel is pointing out, that does kind of give Lou the ability to veto anyone he doesn't like. So Catherine does have the ability to vote yes or no, has the right to abstain as well. It is completely your choice as to how you wish to vote in order to make things work here.
Well, and also, even though she didn't hear the questions, I'm sure she read the applications.
That is true.
Or do we do this in a series? We appoint the public member first and then the alternate second?
Yes, you have to do them each individually because of the voting process. You have to do a yes or no vote. You can't use like a ranked choice voting system. That would not be, you could use ranked choice as a straw poll system, but at the end of the day, there has to be a motion for candidate X, and then there has to be a vote, and that vote has to be followed through the process.
And do we also take public comment?
Yes. Oh, and speaking of which, you do have in your packet in front of you from paper, you do have 2 emails. 2 of the candidates who are still interested in the seat could not attend tonight. Wanted to let you know that just because they're not here, it doesn't mean they're not interested.
Jason, I wanted to ask, because you mentioned earlier about, Vita Flores. Were you expecting her to be here tonight?
I had informed her after the April meeting that this was going to occur, that she needed to be here tonight if she still wanted to be considered. I got a response back from that, which I want to say was in the affirmative, like, yeah, I understand. I did, after this packet was put together, I sent to all the people who are applying, saying, hey, here's the meeting, so you're aware, there's a closed session near the beginning, so like, if you show up right at 7 o'clock, be prepared to be kicked out of the room, so you might want to come a few minutes late, like, 10, 15 minutes late, not clearly an hour, 47 minutes late. So they were aware of what it was, and, those who wish to attend could. Vita knew from the April one. I think even, and Larry, because I sent the same exact email to Larry, and you can confirm that I said you need to be here in order to be considered. So for those 2 people.
I appreciate that explanation, Jason.
And I would also kind of call into question the interest of somebody who didn't come for 2 opportunities to make their case. Anyway.
Can I ask one clarifying question that I'm sure you said, but it was really fast? So do you need a motion, or do we just all vote?
You need to make a motion for candidate X to have the regular seat, and then after that, a motion for the alternate seat once you pick the regular seat person.
But we can have a straw poll first.
You can do straw poll, yeah, anything that you want to have a discussion, it's all open. Whatever, if you decided to do some sort of ranked choice and you wrote it down on a piece of paper, it would get read out who you voted for in the ranked order. But yeah, whatever you want to do to help me make that decision, you're allowed to do at this point.
I'll start if you want.
Okay, sure. Dennis?
I think we're lucky to have some excellent candidates. And I often, in the case of that, would defer to some geographical balance on this commission, because I think that's really important. And so I would point out that we have about half the commission from Central or Southern Marin at this point, by my count. And so I would be looking for candidates that would fill some of those voids in other areas of the county, because I think this is one commission that having some geographical balance is extremely important to make sure that the public feels represented on this commission. So that's just my preference and only mine, but so I would have a leaning to a couple different candidates at this point because of that.
I'm sorry, who else is a Southern Marin? Catherine, you?
Central and Southern, I said.
Where are you?
Mill Valley.
Mill Valley?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you got you 3 and Stephen and Catherine.
And
Are all
Craig
Central
is-
or Southern Marin.
Craig is sort of north.
Well,
Yeah,
but,
I said you 3.
No,
and
I'm
yeah,
pointing out the
There's
empty
5,
seat.
yeah, there's 5.
so who's the third?
Stephen,
And then we also
Oh.
have Eric from Nevada, and Craig is Las
I was only
Vegas.
referring to who's from Central Marin and Southern Marin.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know there's others from other parts of the county.
Well, I think you were saying you were leaning towards other areas.
Right.
We also have people
Yeah.
from other areas.
Yeah.
So I'll
Go ahead.
I'll make just a comment, just start throwing something out in terms of discussion. I'll consider, putting Larry in for the, the initial position for the primary. I mean, Larry seems to be, knowledgeable, articulate, seemed to have some experience. So I would think that Larry, deserves our consideration.
I'm sorry. Who are you suggesting?
I think he's suggesting Larry Chu.
Yeah.
Oh, Larry Shu, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
I heard
Larry.
Mary, I was
No,
looking
it's
at Mary.
Can I?
I'm sorry?
For a regular member.
Correct.
So, without revealing kind of which way I'm leaning here, I really enjoyed reading the applications of all the different applicants. I have, in one way, shape, or form, have had experience either around or direct experience with Larry Chu and Cliff Waldeck in the past. I think both are people of very high integrity and would discharge the duties well. That said, I think Commissioner Rodoni, Supervisor Rodoni, makes a good point about different geographical areas So, you know, again, oh, the other thing I would say, the other candidate that I had personal experience was Vita Flores. And so I'm, you know, dismayed that she wasn't at the last meeting, wasn't at this one, because I would have liked to heard what she had to say. But again, that being said, the other two people who I've personal experience with and have watched them work and consider them both great public servants are Larry and Cliff. But I'm open to hearing what the other members of the commission have to say about geographical representation or any other traits or elements that play into it for them.
I guess I'll speak. I kind of have three candidates in mind based on tonight's interview, reading the applications, and also the way people answered the questions. And I'll say Larry Chu, who I've known and worked with and have a high degree of respect for and seen him in action. He's also very humble, so he doesn't necessarily shout his praises. Also Clifford Waldeck, who I had not had the pleasure of working with, I thought really gave great answers to the questions. I think his background is really helpful. And also Roger Smith, who I do not know and never worked with, but his answers to the questions and kind of all the various committees he sat on, plus his recommendations from Mayor Kate in San Rafael, as well as Joanne Webster, who heads the Chamber of Commerce, kind of shows to me a really kind of varied ability to look at what we do in LAFCo, which is, you know, it's great to have people that have local government experience and also have a little bit more of really broad experience. So those were the three that stood out. I want to say, though, we have an embarrassment of riches here. We really do. We're really fortunate. Sometimes with these boards and commissions, you don't get anybody, or you get folks who are unqualified, but I think everyone I've seen through their applications and answering really all seem ready to step in.
So I'll just chime in with my quick thoughts. I do agree geographic representation is important. So I think that is a very important lens to look through. Looking at the candidates, I also worked personally with Larry for many, many years, and Cliff, and I think when it comes to experience and qualifications, I don't think we were going to find a better candidate. At the same time, this is a public member seat, and although they're obviously all members of the public, I also see is this an opportunity where maybe we would appoint somebody that's never had an elected office, given that we do have a lot of elected office individuals here already. So that's a very tough one for me because, you know, how do you balance the qualifications with that? I'd probably be more inclined, as much as I really respect Larry, to maybe have him be the alternate public member and have the public member maybe be somebody that has not served an elective office before, to give us a broader pool amongst the candidates here. But that being said, we don't have any bad candidates in here. We've got a lot of great ones to choose from.
Can I ask you a question about that, Eric? So if you're recommending Larry as the alternate, are you saying you would prefer for the regular member that be somebody not from Southern or Central Marin? Because you mentioned the geographic importance as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is where it gets hard. Yeah, if we're looking at appointing them both at the same time, then yeah, I do think you kind of have to look at it that way. But I don't know where everybody lives here. Those are just kind of the two lenses that I kind of look through: geographic or elected office. For that same reason, I probably would not be supportive of Larry and Cliff as the regular public member and alternate public member, because now we have two former electeds there. One maybe. Yeah.
And it looks like then Ed Schultz would be the only other person that qualifies, because he's in Novato, correct? As I'm going over, it looks like
Yeah,
two
yeah.
San Anselmo,
Yeah.
Novato, a San
I
Rafael.
think Roger Smith would qualify because Craig is northern Santa Rafael, out in Lucas Valley, and he's more central Santa Rafael, so I see that as a void.
Gotcha,
Nevada's
gotcha.
got Eric, and it's got me on the west.
Yeah.
Actually, Ed sits right between us there, so he would actually cover a geographical area that's sort of in the middle of us. But I think, from my perspective, Roger Smith, based on what Eric said, would fit the role really well in terms of what I'm thinking at this point.
Well, I have to say that I understand the idea, having somebody from Northern Marin. You know, were I to choose one or the other between Cliff and Larry, that for me would be a hard choice. So if it sounds like that, some people would not consider having both of them, which is, I respect. I'm not sure that Larry would get my first choice of the two of them to be the one from Southern Marin. Just a thought.
I guess if you don't mind, I'll speak again. So, my feeling is this. I think Larry Chu brings a lot to the table with all his varied experience, particularly dealing with Central Marin Fire, Central Marin Police, really looking at those consolidations, as well as the multitude of years and being pretty brilliant. I would recommend that we consider Larry for the regular member and then have Roger Smith as the alternate member. And I think Roger, and I want to thank you, Dennis, for pointing out that is an area, but really when I read through Roger's multitude, I think he would bring a lot here. And I know not everybody went out and asked for recommendations. I'm sure everybody could have brought variety of recommendations. But that's where I'm headed. I really think Larry Chu would serve well as the regular member, and then Roger Smith as the alternate.
Any other comments?
I would say I think that does give us a little better geographic representation. I also have personal relationship with Ed Schultz and could speak very highly of him, and I think he'd be extremely qualified as well. As I mentioned earlier, there are no bad candidates in this list. It's a very tough decision to make. But I think what you're proposing does give us maybe, although of course, Larry Chu is a member of the public, he's no longer a current elected official, it does give us a little separation between one former elected official and one non, with Roger. So I don't know where that leaves us.
Straw poll time?
What about motion time and then take a vote?
Or are there any strong oppositions to that? I mean, it seems like each of us kind of has a veto role should we choose to.
In my position, I would probably choose Cliff to be the alternate. I have no problem with Larry being the primary, but I'd probably choose Cliff as being the alternate.
All right, well, should we vote on maybe just the primary then? And then see where we land on the alternate?
You do have to do one vote at a time, so
Yeah.
I would recommend starting with the primary, the regular seat first.
Okay.
So I'll make the motion to appoint Larry Chu to be the primary public member.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor of Larry Chu?
Actually, this needs to be done by roll call in order to properly get the
Understand,
votes
okay.
correct. And Jaren will do that for us.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Chair Caius.
Aye.
Vice Chair Kohler.
Aye.
Commissioner Bordeaux.
Aye.
Commissioner Hilliard.
Yeah, you.
Commissioner Lugan.
Aye.
Commissioner Rodoni.
Aye.
Well, I'll
Well,
step in. Go ahead, Eric.
I say, we'll see how we were doing on the straw poll here, but first off, want to thank all the applicants here, and especially those that came out again a second time tonight. But based off of kind of our earlier discussions and some of the straw poll, I'll make a motion that we appoint Roger Smith as the alternate public member.
I'll second that.
Okay. Jaren?
Commissioner, Chair Caius,
No.
Vice Chair Kohler,
Yes.
Commissioner Bordeaux,
Aye.
Commissioner Hilliard,
Aye.
Commissioner Lucan,
Aye.
Commissioner Rodoni.
Aye.
That motion does pass with a 5-1 vote, with one member from each group voting yes.
Larry, welcome.
Yep.
Does Larry join us now, or?
No.
Larry, if we want to take a 5-minute break and I swear him in, yes, he actually can. However, given we're almost at the end of the meeting, it might just be better to end the meeting and
Your
let him
call,
come back
Jason.
at the next one fully prepared.
We already have a seated member, though.
Yeah, we ought to keep,
Become the regular member, he would go back to his alternate role.
we ought
since-
to keep
I don't
Rick
think you can
in
do
his
that
position
without a
through the end of the meeting.
I'm sorry, sir.
We should keep Rick in his position.
Yeah.
You know, you have served, you should be here
We'll
till the
swear
end
you
of the
in
meeting.
later.
Yeah.
That's why I came back.
He still has comments that he is wanting to make at the end of the meeting, too.
Pour it out at the end.
Yeah, right.
Part two.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then, Jason, how about the executive officer's report?
Sure, I'll try and roll through these pretty quickly here. You have the budget update in the packet. As always, we are a little bit under budget, which is always a good thing instead of being over budget. So that is what gave us the ability in the budget that we just approved to have a little bit larger carry forward. So we're in good shape there. Current pending proposals, as of now, we've just approved 2 new proposals. We have actually nothing in the queue. So until we get our next application, there will be no pending proposals to talk about. Cal LAFCo update. I attended the Cal LAFCo staff workshop in April. Had a very good time there. I was actually asked to moderate 2 different panels. I was in charge of the executive officer roundtable and did a panel on independent LAFCOs and how we can be more independent and how that process works. Both were generally, everyone told me, well received. I haven't actually seen the reviews yet from it, but I was told by people who attended it was well received. And then an item I wanted to have a quick discussion about with all of you is, as of now, we will now have, once we swear in our 2 new public members, 7 of the 11 commissioners are all basically brand new. I think it might be worthwhile for us in January, once all of our new members have had a couple newest members have a couple meetings under their belt, to perhaps do a workshop to have a discussion about how are we operating. The way we're operating was based on, in some cases, 7 people who are no longer here. So it might be worthwhile to have a discussion about how do we operate, check in on a few things, make sure that we're doing everything correctly, and then have a discussion about what does our future work plan look like. Is that something that generally is viewed positively by this commission, and should I start putting that together? Because it does take a few months to
I
put
think it's
everything.
an awesome suggestion.
Sure.
Okay. All right, perfect. I will start putting that together. And then one item not on here, earlier this week, I got an email from the California Fire Chiefs Annual Conference. They would like me to come and present to them about what LAFCo is and how they can play a role. It turns out that association happens to have a fire chief you all may know called Chief Tubbs from Southern Marin Fire. I think after hearing all the positives of how that application went, and we also at the staff workshop happened to have a couple of fire chiefs that were there talking about, when they first started their processes, not even understanding what a LAFCo is or does or was, that through all of that they wanted to have someone come and present to their next association meeting in October about what LAFCO is, does, and how we can cooperate together. And they asked me to be the person to come and do that. So they will be able to cover me for a room for one night, but travel will be on us, as in Marin LAFCo would have to pay for it. And you would also have to realize I would be traveling and be out of pocket for a day. While I'm going down. It's in Ontario, California, so down in Southern California. Does the commission have any issues with covering my flights down there? I will also add that it is as well, the day I'd be presenting is the same day as the start of the Cal LAFCo conference. I will miss part of the start of the Cal LAFCo conference, but I will be there for most of it. So just wanted to give you that as a heads up. And I'm seeing nods and saying yes, that you're fine with me going down there and doing that. So I'm happy to go do so. And with that, that is all I have for our executive officers report. Yes.
Jason, I have a question, and it kind of sparked up from another conversation that was being had tonight. There's 3 committees that this body has. Who's on which committee?
At the beginning of the year, the chair appoints the people to the committee. The committee that you're on has yet to meet. You are on.
That's what I thought. I know I got an email from you guys,
Yes.
and I can't find it for the life of me.
You are on the
either-
policy and personnel committee.
That's what I thought.
They have yet to meet. To be fair, the policy and personnel committee probably won't meet until after we do our workshop, because that's probably where we'll come up with, like, here's policies that we want to change, and the policy and personnel committee will get together and actually do that. So it is not a committee that meets very frequently or regularly, and that is actually one of the things I want to have a discussion about, because it does have the term personnel in it, but yet it really doesn't do much other than create a personnel handbook. So is that really the correct use of that committee or not? Or should they be doing more? That'll be one of the things that we will discuss during the workshop. That's on my list already to bring up then.
Appreciate that.
Yep. Any other questions on my EO report? Seeing none, I am done.
Okay, brings us to commissioner announcements and requests. Rick, you had some comments you want to make?
Yeah, just real quickly, I wanted to say, it's been a highly educational experience and a wonderful way to end my public policy advocacy over a 39-year period. I especially enjoyed the West Marin MSR. Thanks so much for that, Jaron. That was a real treat. And I actually got to participate in the closure of the Legacy 255 Margarita Drive application. I was here when it first came in, and I was here for closure on that. So that was kind of unusual. I want you to know that it's been an honor for me to be here working with all of you as a public member on Marin LAFCo. I want to thank my colleagues Damon Connolly and Judy Arnold, who I met 35 years ago as Gary Giacomini's aide in Point Reyes, for supporting my appointment. Commissioner Murray, who's missing tonight, but remembered all those lively policy debates about Los Ranchitas and city-county boundary conflicts back when Jeff Blanchfield and Keene Simons were here. And especially Vice Chair Barbara Kohler, who nominated me for the public position. Thanks, Barbara. I really appreciate it. For business, Jason and Mull, I think I'm going to need another Form 700. We're well into the year. And this was an unanticipated meeting. So if I'm due for a stipend, I'm going to remand that back to Marin LAFCo in the public interest. And thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rick. Okay, any other announcements or points from anybody else? Dennis?
Yeah, just a request, I hope the chair and the executive director maybe could take a look at starting this meeting at 6 in the future. That might work, just investigating it.
If I remember correctly, the commissioner who's not here right now actually meets this night, and that might be actually why he's not here. His commission meeting starts earlier in the day, and if they run late, he's not able to attend. Commissioner Murray de los Colinas. So it's something that we can bring up for a discussion for later. I just wanted to give you, that's why we start so late.
Yeah, just asking you to investigate it, so we don't have
Yeah.
too many 9 o'clock meetings.
Dennis and I had the same kind of thoughts about this and earlier, because we both also had the DC3 meeting earlier, separated by 2 hours, so it's kind of come, go, and whatever, so.
We can put it on the next agenda to have a
I decided not
discussion
to go
about
home,
it.
I stayed here. Yeah.
Maybe it'd be good just to check in with Craig because I don't think the rest of us probably have a problem with it. If it is a conflict for him, that's a different story.
I'll do the research and find out how folks feel about it.
Okay, any other comments? Thanks, Dennis. Okay, no other comments? Do I hear a motion to adjourn for tonight? Motion, second, all in favor? Aye. Aye.